welcome to our Wednesday 큐티사랑. I hope you guys are all having a great week so far. Let's get started. Today's passage comes from the book of Acts chapter 15, verses 19 through 21. Therefore, my judgment is that we should not trouble those of the Gentiles who turn to God, but should write to them to abstain from the things polluted by idols, and from sexual immorality, and from what has been strangled, and from blood. For from ancient generations Moses has had in every city those who proclaim him, for he is read every Sabbath in the synagogues. So in order for us to understand what's happening in this passage, we need a little bit of context. In Acts 15, in this chapter, leading up to today's passage, we see an issue that is in the early church. And it was regarding the new believers, the new converts. Some Jews, there was a group of people that were saying that these new converts, they have to be circumcised in order to be saved. And they have to keep the law of Moses, which are the commandments that God gave the Israelites before. And some people, including Paul, Barnabas, and Peter, they were saying, no, it's not necessary for these new believers to be circumcised. So as you guys have read through this week's QT passages Monday and yesterday, the apostles and the elders, they gathered to discuss this matter. They were debating and taking turns speaking. And Peter makes a point saying that we are saved by grace through faith alone and not by our works. And then Barnabas and Paul, they start talking about how they shared the gospel with the Gentiles and how God moved. And then in today's passage, we see James speaking. And this passage comes from James's speech. So going back to verse 19, when he says that we should not trouble the Gentiles who recently converted, he is essentially saying they don't need to go through the physical circumcision anymore to be saved. Don't make them do that just because we used to do it in the past. Things have changed now because Jesus has come, and now we are saved by faith alone. Now our hearts are circumcised by faith in Christ Jesus. And then in verse 20, we see Peter continuing to speak, saying, but instead, you know what we should do? We should instruct them and teach them what it means to live as the children of God. They shouldn't have the same lifestyle anymore. And so we need to teach them how to live as a Christian, as a child of God. This is a good reminder for us today that we have been freed from the law, the Old Testament law, meaning we are not saved by law and the things that we do. We are saved by faith in what Jesus has done for us. Then some of you might say, can we live however we want then? Why do we need to keep the law and all the commandments in the Bible if we are saved anyways, regardless? What's the point? And the point is to walk in a way that is reflective of our identity as the children of God. To live a life that is worthy of the calling we have received, as Ephesians 4:1 says. It's because we have become a new creation in Jesus. We can't live as those people in the world anymore because we are called to be different and we have been born again. And that is the reason why we obey and we do the things that God commands us. Not so that we can be saved, but because we are saved. I'm going to repeat that one more time. We obey not so that we can be saved, but because we are saved. And so when we lead other people to Jesus, I just want to encourage us to be careful that we might not share a false gospel. Because it can be so easy to just say, if we have any new believers around us, with good intention, we might say to our friends, you have to come to church. You have to read the Bible. You have to pray. And you have to act and speak in a certain way because you're a Christian now. And yes, these things are all correct, but I pray that we may have the wisdom to help them really understand that we are saved not by doing these things, but by faith alone. And the reason why we do these things is because we are saved. So let's help them walk in this new way of life because we are saved and because we have this new identity as the children of God. So that is the word of encouragement for us today. I hope you guys have a great day walking with Jesus.